Where do I begin? Let me just start off with my first experience, which happened in Venezuela. It was a Sunday, August 9th, 1987. Two incredible things happened to me that day. As I had my handicraft business, I had several requests, and Sundays was my usual day to fill the requests or pieces to sell, to paint some other pieces, and to wash the clothes. My husband had taken the kids to the park to ride bicycles, and from there go to my mother-in-law's home. Thus, he would home late. After working during the day, I went to the kitchen area, and to my surprise, my husband had left the tools on the kitchen counter. This made me angry, and I said loudly, "Damn it, this would be the day that my husband would not leave things in their place." I started to pick them up, and in that moment I hear a voice that tells me, "That's it, everything in its place." I turn to the kitchen door, and I see clearly a man, looking at me, smiling, dressed with a white tunic with a golden strap on the waist. He had wavy hair that almost touched his shoulders. It did not frighten me at all. Later he vanished. I took the tools, placed them in the box, and put them in the assigned closet just under the stairway and in front of the kitchen. Once I placed the tools in place and closed the door, it dawned on me that I was alone at home. My God, if they left the door opened and somebody got in. I ran to the kitchen and took a knife to defend myself in case someone would attack me. I ran to the main door, locked it, then to the garage door, locked it, then to the patio door, and locked it. And then I started to check all the rooms, closets, and bathrooms of the lower floor. Then I went to the bedrooms upstairs and did the same. I even checked the chest of drawers, closed doors, and went to the terrace area that goes to the patio and closed all the windows and access doors. Only my bedroom was left. Once there, I started to feel an inexplicable uncertainty. Right then I remembered that the being that was standing at the door was leaning as if on one foot, and I realized that I did not see any feet. Writing this, I get the chills remembering how I was running, checking the house. This being was floating unmoving, and then I realized that he was Jesus of Nazareth. He was just as they describe him to us, of course without wounds or thorny crown. This calmed me. Getting into the room, I told myself, better I just stay over here and be done. I took the remote control, turned on the TV, started to watch the programs, and chose a movie. I did not even want to take a shower for fear of somebody being in the house, and left it to when my husband be back. I had watched TV for around an hour and a half, and I felt that my husband had arrived and told myself, "Good, they have arrived," and I continued lying down. In that moment, I saw a big light, very beautiful, getting close to my bedroom window. A womanly voice with an authoritarian tone tells me, "We are coming, searching for you." In that moment, my husband was taking the kids to their respective rooms, and then he was coming to our room. Just before he got to the bedroom door, I was out of my body and was trying to come back to it, and I could not. The light ball was almost entering my room through the window, and I was feeling my body, which was very heavy, and I could not move. I was observing myself. I ran towards my husband. That still did not open the door, and I was already at his side in the corridor. He did not see me. I was speaking to him, and he did not listen to me. I ran again to see my body. There it was, and I could not move. I was frozen like a popsicle, but I had a lot of heat inside me. Then my husband opened the door. The light was still there. I tried to talk to him, and he does not help me. He bent down and started to observe me. Then he got up and went to the kitchen. I stayed, trying to move my body, and I couldn't. I left my body again and ran to the kitchen on the lower floor because my husband was there, and oh, surprise! I could not go down the stairway, and no matter how much I tried. Nothing. I ran again to the bedroom, and the light was still there, but closer to the window and almost getting in, and it was even more beautiful. Then I felt that the maid had arrived and had her daughter with her who was asleep. I called to her, and she did not listen to me. She went to my side and did not see me. I ran to my daughter's room and started to caress her and spoke some words to her, and nothing. She did not hear me. I caressed her hair and kissed her, and she moved, but nothing. She did not awaken. I ran again to try to go to the kitchen, and nothing. I could not go down. I ran to my son's room, and the same. He did not hear me. The curious part was that I never opened the doors. I did not know how I was getting in. Then I ran to the maid's room, and nothing. She didn't hear me, and I spanked her and told her, "Mrs. XX, it looks like they want to take me, help me," and nothing. I left her room and ran again to the kitchen, and nothing. I could not get down. I then went, looked at my body, and got into it, but nothing. I was aware but could not move, and I was completely frozen. I got out again, went to the start of the stairway, bent down, and saw through the wall. From that part of the stairs, you could only see the kitchen door. I saw that my husband was eating crackers with cheese and ham, and had a full glass of cold milk. I screamed at him to stop eating. Come and help me. Nothing. He did not hear me. I decided to go back to my body since I had realized that nobody could help me but myself. I got into my body. The heat was very intense, and at the same time, I felt too heavy. I felt the bed was sinking and could fall to the lower floor because of how heavy it was. Then the light started going away and my husband comes into the room. He gets close to the bed and started watching me, and I tell him to help me and he does not hear me. Then he kneels down and starts observing me again. I was hitting him again. He did not see me, nor hear me, nor feel my hits. He only moved his head. I started to pray the Lord's Prayer, and suddenly I feel I am reciting it loudly and exactly where. It says, "Our daily bread." I return to normal life, still cold, and suddenly I feel a strong hit and a strong sound, as when a big machine gets stuck all of a sudden. Something like track, 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 and it was coming out of my heart, and I opened my eyes and told my husband, "Well, my man, you are crazy. They are trying to take me away through the window, and you, instead of helping me, were just eating and did not help me." And then told him, "I am very hot. Go with me to the bathroom. I do not want to be alone." Upon touching me, he felt that I had sweated a lot and was very cold, and told me, "Drink this water." He had brought a glass of water with him. I was still in bed and feeling very heavy. I drank it, poured it over my head, and went to take a shower. I did not want to go to sleep, fearing they would take me. I stayed sitting all night long. I have had several experiences, but I consider these have been the most powerful. Second experience, over here in Miami, Florida. I was writing and reading emails the 12th of November 2011 at 9 at night. Around 3 minutes to 10, I got up and told my husband, "Good night, I'm going to sleep. I'm bored." And he answered, "Why at this time? It is still early." I am used to going to bed around 12 midnight or a bit later. "No, good night, I am bored," and went to the bedroom. I lay down in the same position I am used to, face up, and I slept. I don't know how long I had been asleep when I got out of the body and immediately appeared in the Third World War. The arms I was seeing were completely strange and rare compared to conventional arms, and the devastation was horrible. Dead everywhere, roads destroyed, buildings, children and animals, as well as destroyed trees, and the water was contaminated. The world was deplorable, and I died. Then I came to my body and told myself, I have to go back and see more. I went out of my body again, and I was seeing many wounded and mourning and much devastation. Suddenly I find myself in my body, and started to feel that all my molars of my lower jaw had been taken out and had much pain. Then I felt as if my neck was being pulled with ropes towards my shoulders with much pain between both shoulders. At the same time, I felt as if I was tightened with a belt from the shoulders to the start of the nipples. I was totally frozen and motionless. Then I became aware that my husband had been in bed. I tried to move and I could not. I left my body again. I flew and flew quickly at an incredible speed, and I found myself in front of God. I explained to him that I still have things to do, and bang! I came back to my body in thousandths of a second. I had no pain anymore, but I felt a lot of peace and nothing. I cannot move. I went back to God, pure energy, and I explained to him that I am alive, but that I can't move, and bang! I went back immediately, and I felt the belt squeezing me stronger, but I did not have pain, and I started to feel they were placing a chip, a foot in size approximately, in my right forearm going through my chest and going out of my left forearm. This chip was of a transparent material with many transparent little points. When they were getting the chip in the forearm, I felt as if an energy was being transferred to my body. It was as when seismographs detect and record an earthquake. The lines were very close, on a legal-sized white sheet of paper that was passing around me, and I was feeling the noise of a great turbine. An energy noise. I could not feel any pain, and then I could move the little finger of my right hand. I was still stiff and cold. As I touched my husband, he immediately jumped from bed thinking it was a lizard that had gotten into the bed. When turning on the light, I told him, clenching my teeth, "Call the ambulance. Call the ambulance." He heard me and called me. I got out of bed any way I could. I looked like a robot walking to the living room. I told him, again clenching my teeth, that I did not have pain, but my whole body was stiff. I told him tell them a heart attack, and he did. When the ambulance arrived, I was feeling more tranquil, but still I felt I was not myself. They asked who, and I told them, Iyo between my clenched teeth. They asked me if I had pain, and I said no, but still feeling stiff inside and very cold. But I was not cold. They took my vital signs, and to everyone's amazement, all was well. Then they asked me if I was feeling all right. I told them yes, but that I was not totally myself. They asked me if I could walk to the ambulance and told them yes. I thought that if I tell them no, they could take longer, and I could not let the minutes pass because there were 2 cars to move to let the ambulance back up, and then having to wait for them to bring down the gurney. As I could, I went down the 3 steps and took 6 steps towards the ambulance. Once there, they told me to lay down, something that I did with a lot of care. I was still stiff. One paramedic started to pinch, inject my right hand, and to the left I had another paramedic placing the clamp to measure the oxygenation. Then I turned to the paramedic and told her that I was starting to feel the pinching on my right hand because she could not find the vein. I always donate blood, and the first time they don't get my vein quickly. She had pinched me 6 times. The guy at the left asked me if I was allergic to aspirin. I told him no. A guy to my right told me they were giving me 3 children aspirins. Take them with this. And he gave me a little glass. So I took them, and they asked me if I was taking any medicines. I explained that I did not have a thyroid, that it had been removed with a radiation pill. Then I felt that something wanted to come out of me, and I threw up something black or an intense wine color. It was like a liver with a gelatinous mass. I threw up to the left of the paramedic. In that moment, my spirit sat down and left the ambulance, starting to fly and fly and fly. I heard that one told the other, "Take away the pantyhose, take away the pantyhose." I tried to hold on to it, but then I was inside an immense dome, a light salmon color, and I saw far away a beautiful city, and turned around and saw my body on the gurney inside the ambulance, and another ambulance behind this one, and farther back my husband driving my car. I did not care about this. I only wanted to continue my flight to the beautiful city. Then I heard that many people were calling my name, but I only wanted to continue my trip to the beautiful city. I found myself inside the hospital, with many tubes on my face, started listening to voices, and continue my trip to the beautiful city. I turned, and I saw my husband talking to a man with a suit and a white shirt inside an office far away from where my body was. At the same time, I saw around 25 people around my body, and I continued flying at the same time. I started to hear a silverware noise, but they were surgical instruments, feeling they were sounding inside my sternum. I continued flying, and at the same time, I tell my husband, "Tell him I don't have a thyroid, that I take artificial hormones." The man asked him if he knows what medicines I take, and he told him he does not remember. I told him tell him X and the number of milligrams. He does not hear me. I said it with a higher tone so the man would hear me, but nothing. I tried to take my husband's hand. My hand goes through his hand, and I screamed, "You can answer that, I take X." I continued flying, and then he answered with the name of the medicine, and the man writes it down. In that moment during my flight to the beautiful city, by now it is closer, a big light salmon color coral block falls in front of me. I flew around it to pass it, and my trip continues. Once closer to the city, another block falls diagonally. Like this, the block was hindering my arrival to the city. It was repeated 5 times, and every time the block was much bigger, and the city more beautiful, and closer. Just when I was ready to go into the great city, a big voice, something like when a big thunder comes down and booms strongly, a very authoritarian form, and sounding very loud, says my name. I started to feel an incredible force, like a big turbine, pulling me back. Just when I was returning, I could see the moon, and a big transparent being, like a jellyfish, was holding over his head the moon, and in between both feet, holding the planet Earth. I don't see the same people that were around me before. Instead, other people were taking my body to another room. I saw my husband on the outside sitting down with tears in his eyes. He was a little away from where they were taking my body. There they put me on a bed, and I did not have tubes in my throat. I opened my eyes and I said, "What is going on?" I was so serene, with a great peace inside me and much security. There was a nurse there and she said I could not get up. She called and a doctor arrived. He was one of the doctors I saw when my body was surrounded with about 25 persons over the gurney. He told me, "Madam, how are you feeling? Do you have pain?" Very tranquilly, I told him, "Not at all." Then he told me I could not move because they had put a mesh stent in my heart, and that I could not stand up because I had a blocked femoral artery. I answered, "Yes, I have seen it." They gave me saline solution in the intensive care unit until the next day when they made me stand. On the 15th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was already home, doing my normal routine without chest pain, only on the pelvis. 2 weeks later, I was working normally, taking medicine. After a year, I started to feel a slight discomfort in my sternum. I want to emphasize that several times during my trip to the beautiful city, I turned around and I was seeing my body close by, but I absolutely did not care at all to leave my body and to continue my trip to the beautiful city. I was feeling so much happiness inside myself while flying, and also I was feeling the breeze of the cool air while traveling and the intensity of the air. I felt it according to the speed. I could accelerate or de-accelerate my speed. Watch this near-death experience next about a woman who falls from a cliff where she met Jesus.